Welcome to 7 p.m. Wednesday instead of Tuesday. So thanks for your patience. And every week, my name's Jacqui Lewis. I'm the clinical nutritionist for BN Multi, and each week on generally Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Brisbane time, we meet on the BN Multi page and we talk about all sorts of exciting stuff. Like this week, we're talking about the alcohol challenge, and we also give you a couple of opportunities each week in our BN bariatric group to let you pop your questions in about anything that's going on with relation to your weight loss surgery and life beyond, or even before, if you're still kind of questioning whether to embark on the journey or not. So our aim is to help support you through the journey and to direct you to any other areas that you may need to explore if they're out of my realm. But generally anything nutrition, portions, funny things your body's doing. We talk a little bit about digestion. We talk about regain, portion sizes, all that sort of stuff. But each month this year, we're doing a different challenge. And being the 3rd of February, it's the beginning of our February challenge. And this month we are talking alcohol. So January, we did eliminating sugar, which we talked about what sugar does and where it is and what it's dressed up as in some of our foods, and helped you to be a bit more of a detective around that. And this month we're talking alcohol, and you'll find that our weekly news, which comes out on a Wednesday via email, is also tied into the same topic. So what we're aiming to do is give you not only a snapshot of information here and support and ongoing communication during the week, but also provide you with another blog, big information, and something you can read about and kind of keep it top of mind also in the middle of the week, which was today. So we're right in your space today as far as providing supports, which is good. So firstly, we generally answer the questions from the week, and I always manage to put my Zoom screen on the top of them. And firstly, we talk about the questions, then I'll talk about the topic, and then we will talk about the winners, because every week we have winners of our Transformation Tuesday. It's also in the group. So if you're not in the group and you're listening to the live, get in the group. It's BN Bariatric, and that's where you'll find all of these additional extras, information, recipes, team support, nutritional advice, and a great community of very positive people who I will say I never have to really cull any trolls and negative kind of feedback, which I'm really proud of, because I think we've created a really safe space for everybody in there. So good on you guys. So this week's question, the first one is from Sandra Lee, who would like to ask 2 questions. Sandra had gastric sleeve surgery 4 months ago and taking the BN shoes twice a day, which was recommended by her doctor, which is great. And can I take this vitamin supplement 3 times a day, as sometimes I get tired throughout the day? And you will notice that with the BN, particularly because it has the correct dosage for weight loss surgery patients of different nutrients that you're not so good at absorbing anymore, you will really notice that when you are taking it, it will give you a bit of a boost of energy. And the reason for that is that you're actually reaching your needs for the day, but also getting that concentrated. It's generally the B group and the iron. It's a whole compilation of different effects, but the things that help you with energy production and good cognition, so clear thinking and, good attention span, says me struggling for my words, is linked to iron, B group, B12, B3, B6, all of those sorts of things, and just a combination of actually having your body working at its optimal because you are taking in those nutrients. So it depends on, I would say, depends on your diet. I mean, always try and meet your needs through diet as well as your daily supplement twice a day. I would check your bloods first before you went putting a third multivitamin in. The only reason for that is, and with women, it's not as big a concern because we are losing iron every month when we have our period. It's more just making sure that different nutrients are not building too much. I feel that if you were taking the tablet 3 times a day, maybe on a few occasions during the week, I don't see that being any issue. But I always recommend that you take your vitamins and any other supplement based on your blood test results. So if your bloods have come back and you do have some deficiencies in different nutrients, then of course you're trying to boost. So the multis, the BN multis, are really geared to maintain the levels that you have on board now. So ideally you start taking the supplements and you have a good level of all those nutrients. And the 2 daily dose, its job is to maintain that. So you're not running short and you're not dipping into the stores of those nutrients. So if you find you are low in something like B12 and iron are the main players in calcium, vitamin D is also a big player. If any of those are low, you will need to take more alongside until you catch up, because the multis are only meeting your daily needs. And you can see then why a bariatric multi with 500 micrograms of vitamin B12 compared to something off the supermarket shelf that just has 3 micrograms of B12. If the one with 500 micrograms of B12 is just geared to maintain your healthy levels, the one in the supermarket is not even going to touch that. So when you are running low on something, often that's why we've got those partner products. We've got the BN multi-chews and multi-caps, and they are geared based on the research to meet your daily requirements if your levels are in the normal range. So if you're low in B12 or iron or something, we've got those support additional doses that you can take alongside. So what I would find is that if you're looking at taking this multivitamin 3 times a day because it's giving you more energy, you might look at a single supplement of like iron or B12, for instance, and those are the ones that are boosting your levels. Whereas if you're putting in everything 3 times a day, you might be wasting those extra nutrients that you don't need, and they'll just go straight through. So it's tailored, as you can see, and it's always based on the individual, which is why you have a long relationship with your dietitian. So the answer is yes, and kind of, and you could add just the single. I'll often just pop in a little bit of B12 if I need to concentrate on something, and it once every 3 or 4 days, it's certainly not going to blow things out of the water. So the BN B12 melt is 1,000 micrograms of B12. It's a sublingual melt. So you just pop it in your mouth. It's like a raspberry flavor. And that might be the key. So it's looking at maybe which nutrient it's making you feel clear-headed and maybe you're a little bit low in, and maybe dosing with that single nutrient instead of the whole range of everything, if that makes sense. So that was a convoluted story, wasn't it? And then the next part of Sandra's question is, can my 83-year-old mum take these vitamins as her diet isn't the best? And again, I can't say yes or no. It's out of my jurisdiction to say, yes, give these to your mother. But for the general elderly population, they have the same issues as a bariatric patient. They have low stomach acid. So a lot of the time, the nutrients that are affected from weight loss surgery, as well as old age, and any other malabsorptive conditions, so different like inflammatory bowel disease, Crohn's, that sort of thing, they can become a malabsorptive condition just like your surgery is. So yes, in some instances, the elderly would benefit because they do tend to run low in B12, iron and calcium, and if her diet's not wonderful, you could, of course, take it up with her doctor next time you go. But yeah, always before you add anything in, particularly if they're on other medications and that sort of stuff, those things do need to be taken into consideration. And certainly in the elderly, you know, if their teeth are still not, some people lose their teeth, some don't like chewing on meat, some are not eating enough protein. So they kind of have very similar connections to the bariatric patient as well. So the answer is, again, yes, it could be applied to the elderly, but always under supervision. Thank you for those questions. And now we have Serena is asking, oh, her reflux is extreme, and I'd like to hear from anyone who has had curoplasty surgery and did it fix the problem. I didn't see the answers to these questions from the group because it was more asking everybody and getting an understanding of, you know, if people in the past have had reflux and that particular surgery has helped. That is, in my very quick research this afternoon, that curoplasty is, it helps when you have a hiatus hernia, and it basically removes the block that's in the way that's causing the reflux. So it would be good to hear if other patients have had that issue. And on your bed, and whether it's been helpful. Always looking at, like, a lot of patients are struggling with reflux, and it is good to make sure that there's nothing mechanical. And when I talk about mechanical, I'm talking about, you know, things in the way of that healthy digestion. Is there any restriction or stricture or scar tissue? Anything that's upsetting and causing the reflux from a structural standpoint rather than a dietary component. So we've done a lot on reflux, and we'll cover it again in time to come because it is a recurring issue. My doggy's being naughty. Go to bed. And it is a recurring issue, and there's ranging contributors. So often, once mechanical causes have been ruled out, of course, surgery is often the solution. And sometimes it's revision surgery from sleeve to bypass when reflux is really causing problems. And looking at, if it's not structural, what is it? Is it actually a high acid issue, which it feels like because it's burning? But it can actually be a low stomach acid problem. So it's making sure you're aware of what the cause is. Taking Nexium and that sort of stuff on a long-term basis is not often, it gets you through, but it's not recommended from a nutritional standpoint because the Nexium will block the same nutrients that you have trouble absorbing after surgery as well. So calcium, iron, those sorts of things. The other thing it does is messes up all your microbiome. So you're then kind of not sure what the cause is. The reason that we're very keen to make sure you don't have ongoing and chronic reflux is because it's quite damaging to the tissues, that it's basically burning the esophagus each time that happens. And that over time becomes a chronic issue and can cause more complications than perhaps the medication. So it's kind of a tricky one. If you're experiencing reflux and it's definitely nothing mechanical that's been totally ruled out, I would look at your diet and just removing any processed foods. The three things that contribute are red wine, chocolate, all the fun things, sugar, alcohol, because they relax the lower sphincter, which is it's like an elastic band that tightens up and keeps the food in your tummy, basically. So there's a elastic band that you swallow your food and then it'll close off like that and keep the food underneath it. And when you've had those different foods, often that will relax that sphincter off, and that's when the food can pop back up through here. Jazzy. And it's not good. So it's looking at diet. What's your microbiome like, your gut health? How much fiber are you eating? Do you need to remove gluten? Have you, what is your transit time like? How quickly is food moving through? So I'm veering off from the question because I think it's one for the group and also one for your team to discuss if that's the problem and the hernia is the issue. Thank you. Next one's Karen. Karen has a question about vitamin B6, which is a really interesting one. And we do hear it a little tiny bit. So I'm 14 months post-op. I'm at goal and I've maintained that for 6 months. I'm 60. Well done, you. And my last blood test showed that my B6 was through the roof. I was taking 2 BN chews a day as per my dietitian. I've now not taken them for 3 months and it has now gone down and stabilised. My doctor says to look for a multi that has little or no B6. Now, this might be the solution, is to find something that has no B6 in it, but you need B6. It's a good thing to look at why, and our B6 is not necessarily much higher than any other multivitamin. And in fact, there are other multivitamins you can buy from the supermarket that actually have much more B6 in it than the BN multi does. So when these sorts of things are happening and something is, when everything else is getting utilized nicely, but one nutrient is, you know, off the charts, we look at what your body is doing with that vitamin. Jazzy. And often it's because there's part of your metabolic process that's not utilizing B6 very well. And it's a very long story, and I will send you a link, Karen, that might give you some direction. But there is some testing that you can do to work out how your body manages B6. And as much as removing the B6 is a great solution, you've got to now hunt for a bariatric multivitamin or enough of everything else that's going to meet your needs, when we could look at what B6 is doing for you and actually treat that. So I won't go into too much detail, but the high B6 in your blood can actually mean that it's not being utilized at all because it's not getting into the cells. So there's a lot of reading on that I've done in the past that can show like a high B6 reading, but actually it's not being used by the body. So it can actually be masking a deficiency. So there's a lot of, I'm not saying yes or no to this exactly for your personal situation, of course, but there's a genetic link to the way our body uses the B group, and it's something to definitely explore. The other thing you can use is an activated form. So our multis have the activated B12 and the activated folate for this reason, so that the body doesn't have to do anything to it to actually utilize it. Whereas the other forms of the folate and the B12, the body has to do a few different chemical reactions to actually make them absorbable and useful to your body. So we've taken those few steps out by adding these activated forms of the B12 and the folate, because they're the main players particularly in our group in the obesity community as well. So yes, I will send you some information. I think the girls might have sent you some info, because I remember talking to one of the other support team about this particular question. So yes, it's not very much B6, it's just 5 milligrams twice a day. So to have it building like that, and why is the body not excreting it? It's a water soluble vitamin, and it should, if there's any excess, it should just pass through. So there's something else that biochemically is happening there that we could certainly help you to explore. We're complex machines, and this is why everyone says, oh, what's the norm for weight loss in 2 months after weight loss surgery? It's like, well, everyone's totally different, and you can see with some of the questions we get just how different we are. With like a same machine overall, but things that each person's body and biochemistry does can be totally different. So I hope that roughly answers your question, and I'm sure you got some more feedback from the team as well. So that is this week's questions. I'm very excited about that. So this week we're talking alcohol. I might just check in and see. I can't see what you guys are commenting. So I'll have a look there. What I want you to do in the chat or in the boxes is let me know if you're on board for a month at least free of alcohol, and what that would mean to you. Would it be no big deal, or would it be something that you'd have to pretty much work on? Trying to get the posts, sorry. Would it be easy, no big deal, or is it something that is quite a commitment? Because that's what we want to know. And then here we go. Maz is here in Perth on holidays. Wow, Maz, how's your holiday going? There's a lot going on in Perth at the moment. I hope you're safe, because I've been listening to the news all afternoon about what's going on in WA, and it's a very busy place, and they've been so lucky. Carolyn said it's no big deal, which is great. Natalie said she's stopped alcohol about 12 months before surgery. Good on you. And 3 months, she's 3 months post-op, so that's good. Coming off the back of Christmas, and Erin's alcohol-free. Oh, you guys have signed up for the easy challenge. We have to come up with something a bit harder for you. Lisa said it's no big deal. That's why, you know, you guys who show up to the lives and participate in the group, you're doing a great job. And this is why we get such positive answers, because you're the ones who are totally committed to your well-being. Alcohol, I think, well, the statistics and the ABS will tell you that alcohol in Australia is a major problem. We talked about it in the newsletter, which went out today, about the different impacts alcohol has. The main one for people who are looking at managing their weight is that there's about 6 different things that alcohol does. One of them is that it is an uninhibitor. So once you start drinking, your choices and your resolve for eating good food can sometimes go out the window. So you'll think, there could be a number of things that can happen. Is you'll go out and think, I'll just have 1 or 2 drinks. Then you have 1 or 2 drinks, and then the alcohol takes effect, and you go, oh, I'm having such a good time, I'll have 1 or 2 more drinks. And that's kind of how it can spiral. And then with that goes the socializing and the mindless snacking, and just the additional calories that are included in all of that, which is fine on the night if you've been managing yourself all week and, you know, it's time for a treat. However, the next day you'll find you didn't sleep well. You didn't go into REM, rest and recover sleep. Your blood glucose levels are all over the show. You're hungry, and you're hungry instantly. So then you've got another day where you're trying to manage yourself and you're overeating. So I'm talking to the converted, which is great. Hi from New Zealand. No big deal for me. Yeah, giving up alcohol would be a big commitment. Great. So everyone else can tune out for a little while, and I'll talk to Janine for a bit. No, I'm joking. And it's great that you're here, because it looks like you're willing to make those sort of commitments as well. And I don't always recommend, as much as we're going, yeah, give up alcohol, do it for a month, I don't often recommend you just cut something. Some people can do it, but sometimes if you take something away that you actually get enjoyment out of, or it is filling a space for you, or it's an association with relaxation or signing off for the night, or do you know what I mean? Alcohol tends to punctuate things like a weekend or a celebration and something like that. And so when we talk about just eliminating it, we never really it's a great idea, but I don't necessarily always subscribe to just knock it off completely and see what happens. Sometimes if it's been excessive or it's been ongoing, It's part of what you do. So what you need to do is always, if you're changing anything, whether it's food or exercise or whatever it is, you need to replace it with something that gives you the same amount of pleasure. So first of all, if you're looking at reducing or eliminating something that does bring you a bit of an outlet, you need to plan out what you're going to put in that spot. Because if you leave a gaping spot open, like I have a drink while I'm cooking dinner, or like I have a drink with my dinner, or I drink on Friday night, and you leave it open to, I don't do anything in that space, what do you think is going to happen? Is it going to be easy? Or is it one of those things that you go, well, I'm not doing anything else, I'll just have a drink? So what I urge you to do is do an inventory of all the things that you really love, as much as relaxing with a glass of wine or a beer, and see if you can take one out and put one in its place. Because the human brain doesn't work with gaps. It doesn't like that. It likes to know, oh, something good's coming. So you have to be structured and quite, you have to plan it. And as much as I resist planning, I've come to realize that the 5 Ps, proper planning prevents poor performance. So the 5 Ps need to apply in most areas of our lives when we're trying to create grave change. So once you get to maintenance and you're very happy with the way life's going, you can afford to have these things kind of come in and out and be a feature again. But while you're in a stage where you're trying to create what I term as grave change, you need to make grave changes. So it's really taking an inventory of the things that also float your boat and putting those in the diary, and maybe getting family and friends on board so that you've got something social and fun to look forward to that's not related to alcohol. And I think when you are reducing or eliminating alcohol but still wanting to remain social, it becomes a bit of a talking point. And we had a group of friends over a couple of weeks ago, and it's early January and everyone's relaxed over Christmas, and there were 80% of us who were not interested in having a drink. But it interested me that quite a few needed to explain it, what they were drinking. And I was like, you don't have to explain it. Let's just drink kombucha, or do you want a cup of tea? Or like, I think if we just normalize what we're doing, what we're eating and what we're drinking, it's none of anyone else's business to begin with. And a lot of the commentary you get when you're eliminating something is because it's making other people's their intentions that are not being met. It also highlights that. So if your friends are all getting together and they love a drink and you suddenly turn up and go, no, not doing that, they're like, oh, okay. That highlights my drinking. And some people don't like that very much. So they'll either try to sell it to you or encourage you to have just one, or kind of wind you up a little bit about it. It depends on the circles you work in, but sometimes it is uncomfortable. And it often is when someone is changing something, it does send a wave through particular groups and that sort of stuff. So I think it's up to you to kind of just really stand in it, and you've made your decision, and you know what? No one else's business. So I think that's a key. So Janine's saying, yeah, the end of a day equals a glass of wine. So I wonder if we did a little practice around, Janine, the end of the day, what else would be productive, and would you enjoy those kind of things? Would it be sometimes even it's the ritual of the actual beautiful glass and it's my time. It's kind of like coffee. I think I liken it to that, because it's like when you got little kids and they want one of everything you've got. And if you're having coffee or you're having alcohol, they can't have it. So you kind of start to claim it as yours, and it's your time and it's what you do. So there is a definite ritual around the things that we spend our spare time doing. So it's looking at that perhaps. And sometimes I'll encourage, even if you do drink a glass of wine, you might, my mum used to do this, put it in a beautiful glass and have like that much, and then fill it up with soda water. So you still feel like your ritual is being met. Maybe you've got just a tiny little bit of something in there, And then the rest of it is actually going to hydrate you, and that would be a benefit. So it's getting to enjoy the process, perhaps, the beautiful glass, the sit down. It's kind of the reason that you do things, and the escape of the, you know, we come home, we've had a busy day, we have to cook for everyone, you know, it can get boring. Just saying. I've mixed it up with listening to putting the TV on or putting some music on and changing the mood that way. And I think sometimes we're looking at a different kind of excitement maybe from that perspective. So tonight we cooked dinner and I had music up a little bit louder than I normally would for a Wednesday night. And it just raises the energy of the room in a way that maybe having a drink might. So I don't know. It's looking at things that work for you. These are just suggestions. The other thing is punctuate the end of the day with going for a walk, and you'll find just even if you do commute or something like that, and you get off the bus or the train or whatever, maybe a stop early and walk. And I used to do that when I actually worked outside of the house. And it's nice because it gets the day off. And sometimes when we come straight home, we rush in and we're still in our work gear and all that sort of stuff. It can mean that you've kind of forgotten about it all by the time you walk in the door, and you're almost refreshed from that point. So those are the sorts of things to explore, is that always when we're removing something, we need to replace it with something that's equally enjoyable. If that's really hard, then I would look at perhaps, are we relying on it? And that's another story. But yeah, it's time, I think, if you're looking at reducing or eliminating and working out how hard that is, and then looking at why, you know, has it been just a habit for such a long time that we just associate it so much? So yeah, on the alcohol front, but during the month, we're going to talk a lot about this, and then we'll kind of see how everyone's going, whether they've eliminated or reduced. That would be the goal, but a lot of people have already reduced or eliminated, so I'm pretty happy with that. And the other thing I wanted to talk about, I'm going to share my screen here before we do the prizes. Where is that? Down here. Because I want to show you, oh, goodness me, I would like to show you our new calendar and our 15 things to do. There it is. I'll just move me out of the way. So here we've got this new, it's coming soon. It's nearly printed and the hard copies are nearly here. The 2021 book and calendar. It'll be a kit that you can buy. We may give a few away if you're really, really good. 5 things to stop, to start, and to think to prevent weight regain. We hear a lot of weight regain people in the group, so they're all wondering what to do about that. So that's 15 different things that you can implement to prevent all of that from happening. Even catch it before it starts would be good. This one, I'm trying to point to it, but you can't see that, is our 2021 challenges calendar. So you'll notice January was sugar and February is alcohol. So for every month there's a challenge. So this is sitting on your desk and it's keeping it front of mind for you. So as you flip through the months, there's the challenge, and there's also notes on the challenge and kind of how to implement that, and just motivational stuff all the way through. We are very happy with this one. It's going to be beautiful. So please keep your eyes on the bnmulti.com website. And we'll announce this because people are, I think we're doing pre-sale. I have to check on it. There might be a pre-sale option. But yes, with things being as slow as they are due to COVID, here it is, February. But have a look at it. It's very gorgeous. So while I'm sharing screens, I will talk about the winners. Can you see that? Yeah. So here's Corinne. She is our first winner of the week. Corinne's lost 33 kilograms to date. I'm so happy with the surgery. I had it done last year. I'm still trying I'm still trying to learn how much I can eat without throwing up though. So I have the nearly at my goal, which is 70 kilograms, and I'm 173 meters tall. That's a very tall woman. 173 centimeters tall, but you look incredible. Look at that transformation, and even your hair changed color. And we do see that a lot, like just the difference in confidence and how we present ourselves in the world. It's really amazing that it's not just a, you know, body transformation, it's psyche as well. So well done you. You know, you just mentioned, I'm still trying to learn how much I can eat. What I'm going to do is send you as your prize a BN multi-portion plate and a BN multi-portion mat. So you'll have one, oh, what's going on there? You have one to have at home and one that you can take anywhere you go, and it'll show you how much you need to be eating. So that'll solve your problem. So please, Corinne, if you're listening, and we'll post this in the group in the middle of the week as well, send an email to support@bnmulti.com and mention that you won a prize for Transformation Tuesday and that it was a portion plate and a portion mat. And we'll get those out to you as soon as we can. Well done, you. 33 kilograms. Oh, the other thing is with the winners, we're going to also get you to share your story, because obviously you're very proud of yourself and we want to hear more about it. And these kind of things are what this group is all about, is inspiring new people who are either sitting on the fence, not sure what to do, whether they want to do the surgery or not, or whether it would be the change that they're looking for, or people who are on the same journey as you and just wondering kind of where it's going to end up for them as well. So your stories are what keep people going. And what we're trying to do is put together a compilation of all of these journeys so that, you know, the wider community can benefit, and you can share in, you know, how well it's been a transformation for you as well. So what we're going to do also is send you a link to our BN Inspired form. And all you do is just fill out your story and send it back to us, and we can feature it on the website for other people to benefit from and share the love. So thank you. The next winner is Lee Reno. I started this journey at 123 kilos and I was so unhappy, depressed and lost in my own misery. 16 months post-op and I've lost 52 kilos. This year, I finally believed in myself. I moved to my own place and got my driver's license, all because I finally believe in me. Oh, makes me a bit teary. Struggling a little with food at the moment, but I'll get there. But that's the thing, you don't realize what you're stuck in until you start to change these things around you. And the transformation is internal and external, and what a wonderful story that is. And just the different choices we make based on how we feel about ourselves and our, you know, current situation. So power to you for taking that step. And likewise, we would love it if you can share your story. So we'll send you a link to your BN Inspired story share. And we're going to just compile them all together and use them within the community if you're happy for us to do that. So yes, there's a box on the form you can tick whether you're happy for us to share or not. But what a great result. And you must be so proud of yourself. Well done. So Lee, you are the winner, and it's pre-order, so it may take a little bit to get to you, but we'll send you out a calendar and the 5 things book as well. So if you could send us an email to support@bnmulti.com, and they're just not quite here right this minute, but we've been told they're about a week away. So I'm going to pop that in there. Challenge, calendar and book. So please also offer your feedback. Tell us what you think, because always we're doing these sorts of things to benefit and, you know, be as user-friendly as possible. So if it's great, let us know. And if it's not awesome, give us some feedback and we'll see what we can do about it. So I reckon that's the live for this week. And I'll just check and see if we've got any more questions. Hang on. 24 comments. Hang on. Great ideas. Oh, Janine said they were great ideas. When I do have a drink and I find I get tipsy really quickly, like in a couple of mouthfuls. Yeah. That happens to me and I haven't had weight loss surgery. I'm a very cheap date. And it can be what you've eaten or not eaten. So anything that goes into an empty stomach is just going to go straight into the bloodstream. So yes. However, yeah, some people do find after surgery, also your body mass has changed. So you might have been able to manage more alcohol in the past because there was more surface area to dilute that. But it's quite interesting depending on what you've eaten, and likely most people are on a pretty low calorie diet after surgery. So if you haven't had a lot to eat, it can make you feel tipsy really quickly. The other thing it can do is make you feel really hungover more than you'd expect, because it's just it just goes straight into your liver, and then the liver goes, oh God, what's that? And also one more chance to talk about nutritional status is it depends on your nutritional status, how well you can detoxify. So B group, magnesium, protein, all those sorts of things are what your liver uses to get rid of toxicity, alcohol, drugs, toxins from the environment, filter your food, do all those sorts of things. It takes nutrients to do that. So if you've got a really, everything's kind of ducks in a row as far as your nutrients go, you'll also find that you'll filter out alcohol better and you won't get as hungover. So trick for young players now, next Christmas maybe, because I know we're not doing alcohol at the moment, take some Bs before you go to bed if you have had a drink, and you'll find that you recover a lot better. I'm not saying that that's a good thing to do, but it definitely will calm things down. So yes, you might find for you that you feel much more affected by alcohol if you're smaller now, and also if you don't have much in your tummy, or even if you're just not eating as much of a substantial amount during the day, like shakes and liquid kind of food will also not buffer that alcohol as much as if you've had a solid kind of meal and your tummy's got protein in it and that sort of thing. So yes. Maz, thank you. Love your work. You're here every week. And so I reckon that's about it for this week, if there's no more questions. And stay tuned in the group. Also, if you missed it, check out the most recent podcast on the Australian Weight Loss Surgery podcast. There it is. I always do the wrong hand. Website. I was lucky enough to spend some time with Nick Ray, who's a fantastic bariatric dietitian from WA, and we talked about bari athletes, so people who get really excited about exercise after weight loss surgery and how they can meet their needs because their demands are so high. And what else? I think that's it. I think we're done. And in the group, you've also seen the benefits of quitting alcohol. So good on you for those who've really often changed the way they do things prior to surgery. And stay tuned in the group, because we're going to talk about it all month. And I'm going to let you go. I'm just trying to find out how to shut my Zoom. It's gone into a weird window. Have a wonderful week. Bye.